Browns finishing up preparations here in Berea for the Ravens, and Deshaun Watson is questionable for Sunday with that shoulder. We got to see him practice a little bit today, but we did not see him throw very much. Kevin Stefanski saying he threw very lightly after we left practice this morning, Mary Kay. But really, that's kind of what this game hinges on here is Deshaun Watson. That's what we're all paying attention to. Will he or won't he play on Sunday?
Yeah, you know what? I was able to catch up with Deshaun Watson in the locker room for just a few seconds. He said, "I'm okay. I'll play." He even rotated his shoulder for me to show that he does, in fact, have range of motion. And we talked about the fact for a second that, he's tough. He does not miss football games. He even mentioned that he played through a torn ACL for a little bit when he was at Clemson. So, he's not going to miss this game. He sounded very confident he will be out there. And, I'm going to take him at his word.
And Ashley, Kevin Stefanski said he was hopeful Deshaun will be out there, said he might be wearing something on the shoulder if he does play. But everyone's seeming optimistic right now that Deshaun will be out there.
Yeah, and Kevin did also decline to specify what it was. He said, "Do I have to?" And then said, "Well, we'll just go with what's on the injury report." So still not even really clear the exact nature of it right now. But I think it's good that everyone is saying that they're hopeful so far that he's going to play and that we did see him make those couple of throws today, even though it wasn't much. But it's heading in a better direction than it was a few days ago, at least.
Now, if Deshaun isn't able to go, or if he needs to leave the game, it would be Dorian Thompson-Robinson who would either start or come in for him. And Mary Kay, we've been watching Dorian Thompson-Robinson going all the way back to the spring when he was the fourth-string quarterback. It has been a rapid ascension for him, taking those mental reps, going through all the motions of being the quarterback, getting the play call, all of those things. So if anybody's going to be ready for this, it's going to be DTR.
Yeah, I think he's going to be really, really ready in the event that he is pressed into service. And let me just back up for one super quick second. I did also ask Deshaun, is the shoulder separated? And he said no. So let's just get that out there and on the record. But DTR, we watched him excel in preseason. We watched him play with a lot of poise. And one of the reasons for that is because he started 48 games at UCLA. The moment isn't too big for him. He's played so much football. I think he would handle himself well.
And when we saw him in the locker room and had a chance to talk to him before I grabbed him, he was sitting there with the call sheet going through things. I mean, Ashley, DTR knows what it takes to be a starting quarterback, the work he needs to put in, and he's been putting that work in, even though he hasn't been starting and getting maybe as many reps as he'd like.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen him throughout these practice sessions when we've been out there in the early portion. Like, if Deshaun's in a drill and making throws, DTR's right behind him going through, like, physically going through those mental reps, as funny as that sounds to say. And like Mary Kay alluded to, I mean, he's a 5-year starter in college. Like, when you get a guy like that, they know what it takes to kind of be prepared and go through those ins and outs. So even though he's a rookie, I think he's pretty well equipped to handle that kind of pressure too.
Now, we are recording this before the final injury report comes out for the Ravens, but what we can tell you is that Tyler Linderbaum, their center, has been trending towards playing. He has practiced all 3 days, but Ronnie Stanley, the left tackle, after practicing for 2 days, reports out of Baltimore is that he did not practice today. So those are two very important names for Browns fans to keep an eye on, Mary Kay. And just another note with Odell Beckham Jr., he also did not practice today, but that offensive line is really what everybody's keeping an eye on here.
Yeah, so disappointing that Odell won't be coming back to Cleveland to play against the Browns. It looks like after not practicing all week, he's probably not going to play with that ankle injury. As you mentioned, the offensive line is a huge key against this Browns defensive line. We asked Myles Garrett about Ronnie Stanley today, and he was basically saying, I like Ronnie. I don't want to see him play out there. And it was more about Ronnie than about the matchup, because he said he needs to get healthy. Nobody wants him to risk further injury. Maybe there was a method to Myles' madness, but he really wants his good friend Ronnie Stanley to get well. But again, as you mentioned, Tyler Linderbaum back at center, that should really help the Ravens and give the Browns a little bit more of a challenge.
Yeah, and actually, when you look at Lamar Jackson's numbers under pressure, they really do plummet so far through these first 3 games. So anything the Ravens can do to mitigate some of that Browns pressure is going to be huge.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's really the key for any opponent that goes against the Browns so far this season. But yeah, especially Lamar Jackson and given his style. And I think like it's interesting to see that chess match aspect of this game, just because it's like Lamar can be so mobile. Obviously, that's one of his biggest strengths that this Browns defense has to game plan for. But it's going to be really tough to kind of sit back there if you're Lamar and kind of survey your options.
Okay, so we will have full coverage of everything that happens, Deshaun's status, all of that, whatever happens in this football game, it'll all be at cleveland.com/Browns.